Good morning, everyone. So let's begin our session. So in the previous session, like we were discussing about Jenkins, we have seen how to install Jenkins and how to set up a job in the Jenkins. And if you see the same server, the Jenkins server is still up and running. And if I want to connect to the server, I'm just trying to connect to the Jenkins server to see how the things are going. Got connected to the server. And if I want to access the Jenkins, we already know we need the IP address. We need the public IP address of the Jenkins server. I'm copying the public IP and the default port number of Jenkins. What is the default port number of Jenkins that I'm using? 8080. See, if I could not, see, we could not able to access. It is showing like the site cannot be reached, but Jenkins is installed here. Jenkins is already installed. So in case if Jenkins is not up and running, when you logged off, okay, suppose when you logged off and if you close the instance, if you want to access the Jenkins, that time you can again log in by using sudo su hyphen command. And I'm simply running a command called java hyphen jar jenkins.war so that you can able to access the package. Okay, let me show you. This is the Jenkins server I'm having. I'm copying the public IP and I'm going to access the Jenkins server by using the port number called 8080. You can see now, just now I have started the Jenkins. Just now I ran the command called this one, java hyphen jar jenkins.var. Try here whether we will be able to. So that day we have whenever see that day during installation we have set up the username and password. The username and password I have set up is admin and admin. So just I'm trying to log in with the same username and password, and I could able to see the jobs that I have inside the Jenkins. So hope you understood now. We had already installed Jenkins in some server, and we have configured a job. No, it is too slow. Yeah, got it now. So this is the job. This is the job we have. And if we want to build the job, how actually we will build the job, we will simply click on the job and we will just click on build. We'll just click on build option so that the job can be built. So all these things we understood in the previous session itself, how actually we have installed Jenkins and how we configured the job, basic sample job, all those things we have seen. Okay. Now, so in today's session, what we are going to understand is this is actually Jenkins. Now, what we are going to do is, so whatever the artifact that is generated, okay, whatever the artifact that is generated here from the Jenkins job, we are going to push that artifact to the artifact repository called Nexus. So now we are going to learn about, now we are going to understand how can we install Nexus. So let me show you what is a Nexus and all. So we are going to learn how to install Nexus. Before that, we should understand what is at least Nexus. Okay, slowly you'll understand why we are learning Nexus now. Why? Because so we have a job here, and I told you if you configure the job, if you open the workspace of the job, we have already used a Maven as a build tool, right? So if you use Maven as a build tool, what is the output that usually we get? Usually we get the output as usually we get output in the form of jar file or var file, whatever it is. So that is called artifact. And if you go and see the workspace here, okay, just click on the workspace and see. For the successful build, if you click on the workspace and see, you will see the output file called jar. So that jar file needs to be pushed. We are going to push the jar file to the repository called Nexus. So it is not only Nexus actually. Nexus is not only the artifact repository tool, but there are artifact storage tools, okay? Artifact storage tools. So among them, Nexus is one of the tool actually we use for storing the artifacts. Here in this workspace, you see in the target folder, inside the target folder, we'll be having an artifact, okay? So Jenkins is slow actually because some reasons. Okay, no problem. I will make it. I'll try to install once again and see. And you see here, I'm going to the target folder. Okay, target folder. Inside the target folder, we could able to see the jars actually war file. So this is the artifact online bookstore.war. This is the artifact that is generated after the Maven build. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to install Nexus in separate server. I'm not going to install Nexus in the same server where I have installed Jenkins. Okay, you see here, I am going to the running instances. So far, I have only one running instance. I am going to launch one more instance. Okay, I am going to launch one more instance and I am going to name the server as Nexus. I'm going to name the server as Nexus and I'm selecting the same Amazon Linux operating system. Here, at the instance type, I'm selecting P2.medium. Key pair is DevOps 29 KP. That's fine. Anything you can take. I'm just launching the server. So in this server, what I'm going to do is this is the one, okay? The one which is pending. This one will come up after a few seconds. So once it comes up, then we will connect to the server and we will try to install Nexus. We'll try to install Nexus in that particular server and we have some process, okay? We have some step-by-step procedure we need to follow to install the Nexus in the server, okay? Now you see the Nexus server is up and running. I'm just trying to connect to the Nexus. Click on Nexus. Just click on connect button. I'm going to connect to the Nexus server. So usually I named that server as Nexus. Still, I did not install anything in the server, okay? I'm going to install Nexus. That's it. I'm going to install Nexus. Okay, first let me explain you the installation process of Nexus. Then we will see how to integrate Nexus with the Jenkins and all. So for today, we will restrict to like how can we install Nexus in the server. Then we'll discuss on how can we integrate Nexus tool to the Jenkins to push the artifacts. Okay. So very first command I'm running is sudo su hyphen. You know what is a Nexus? Nexus is an artifact repository tool. Otherwise, we can also call Nexus as artifact storage. What is Nexus? Nexus is an artifact storage. So we need some backup, right? We need some backup. We're generating artifacts. Okay, we are generating war files. War files are nothing but artifacts. We are generating the artifact. You know what is artifact, right? So artifact is the file. Artifact is the file where it can be generated in the form of that var, EAR, okay, var file or EAR file, jar file. So these will be the extensions usually, and it is necessary. Okay, it is very much necessary to store them at some place. Okay, it is very much necessary to store them at one place. Why? Because what does the artifact contain? Artifact is having the necessary files, the required files and libraries, required binaries and libraries to run one application. See how source code is important. In the same way, the artifact is also an important thing. So we are not going to run application with the help of source code. We are going to run application with the help of artifact. Along with the source code alone, we cannot run the application. We need to build the source code. Once we build the source code, we will be generating an artifact. With that artifact, usually we'll be running the application. We are going to deploy that artifact and we'll see the application up and run. So it is very much necessary to store the artifacts also. That's why we need some tool to store the artifacts. And we are now talking about the tool called Nexus, which is called as an artifact repository, artifact storage tool. It is called as an artifact storage tool. So let's talk about how to install Nexus repository, the Amazon Linux server. So first what we need to do is we need to make sure I'm just running a command called sudo su hyphen. Okay, I'm just logging as root user. As I told you, whenever you are installing any packages, always log in as a root user. Okay, whenever you install some packages inside the Linux server, always try to log in as a root user. Now, what is the prerequisite? Any prerequisites for the Nexus? So Nexus tool is also designed by using Java. That's the reason why we need to make sure, okay, we need to make sure Java should be present in the machine. We need to make sure Java should be present in the machine where you are installing Jenkins. Make sure Java should be present. And what is the Java version? It is required. So make sure Java versions also from 11 to 17. Okay, from 11 to 17. Make sure your Java version is present. Okay, version 11 to 17. Any of the version between 11 to 17 is present. And usually when I tried with 8 and all, I got some issues. That's why I'm suggesting like, please go with the Java version of 11 to 17. This is the prerequisite. This is the only prerequisite that we have. If you want to install Nexus, definitely you should install Java init. And the version that you should, the preferred version is like between 11 and 17. Okay, so let me try to install Java. We know how to install Java, right? We will go to the Google and search like Java download. We all know this process, right? And we have one website called OpenLogic. Here, we will select 11 version and Linux. Architecture is 64-bit. Package is JDK. I'm copying the link of the RPM. Okay. I'm copying the link of the RPM first. Copying the link of the RPM. You know how to download any file from the internet. So we use wget command. We use a command called wget so that I'm running a file called. We use a wget command. You know what is the purpose of wget? Wget is mainly for downloading anything from the internet. So I'm just downloading the Java from the internet. And how to install this one? So we have a command called sudo yum install and that particular file name. So before we run this command, you can use ls command to see whether the file is available. Yes, the file is downloaded. And now you can run a command called sudo yum install this file name, whatever the file name that you have downloaded. We are trying to extract and install in this machine. I'm just running this command so that it is asking for the confirmation. I'm just proceeding with the confirmation. So the Java will get installed here. We need to verify whether Java is installed or not. How to verify? What is the command we use for checking whether Java is installed or not? Java space hyphen version. We can use a command hyphen version, Java space hyphen version. We can simply verify like Java is installed or not by running a command called Java space hyphen version. So Java is installed. Now, the next thing is like we need to, once Java is installed, okay, we verified the Java installation, then we need to download the Nexus. We need to download the Nexus. From where we need to download the Nexus, there is a website called download.sonatype.com. Let me show you. You can go to the Google and search like download. So actually, the next name of the Nexus is, you see, Sonatype Nexus actually. Name of the Nexus is Sonatype Nexus. This is only the documentation. So if you want to download Nexus, otherwise simply we will search like Nexus download, and We go with this but first link, and here this is the documentation actually. And if you want to download the Nexus, here we will find different repositories like download Nexus repository for your respective operating system. Okay. So if you are using any kind of Linux or Unix operating system, it is clearly showing what is the version that represent. Okay, what is the version that it supports and all. From here we will pick up the URL. Okay. If you want to download the latest version of Nexus repository, so you can use this is the Nexus. Here we have the URLs. Okay. If you go to the website called sonatype.com, download Sonatype Nexus repository. Can you see? In the Google, what we are searching is download Nexus or otherwise Nexus download. That's it. And if you go to that place, then you easily will find here the download link of the Nexus. So here we see we have for Java 8, okay, we have for Java 8, for Java 11, different versions are there. I'm just copying this URL, okay, I'm just copying this link and I'm going to paste it. So in the same way, by using wget command, I'm going to paste the link here also, so that I will see whether the file is downloading or not. Yes, file got downloaded. To verify, I'm just using ls command. Nexus 3 something. Okay, this is the version number 3.702.01. This is the version that is installed. How to extract this version? I have downloaded the file called tar.gz. So if it is an RPM file, we have already seen, right? If it is an RPM file, we have already seen that how to extract the RPM file. We have just extracted just by using sudo yum install command. And if it is a tar.cz command, we need to extract that file by using tar-x, tar-xvzf. This is the command we use for extracting. Okay. tar-xzvf is the command we use for extracting this file name. I'm just copying this command. And I'm going to paste it here. Sorry. We need to copy our file name. This is the file name I have downloaded, right? So we are using a command like tar-xzvf so that the file will be extracted. Hope you understood. This is the file name okay, this is the command I'm using. tar-xzvf is the command I'm using. And whatever the file name that you have downloaded, please provide that file name. Okay. You might go to any link. So whatever the file name you have, please provide the file name. And you see the next command. Okay. Once it is extracted, you can give ls command and see earlier we had only one folder with this is the file we have Nexus 3.70 something. This is the only file I had earlier. And now after extracting, I got two folders here, Nexus 3.70 something in blue color. Sonatype work in another folder, which is okay. There is another folder which is in blue color again. Okay, this is one folder. This is another folder I have. Okay, two folders I have. And once I have these folders, if you want to rename this folder, okay, you know how to rename the folder. So now the folder name is Nexus 3.702-01. This is how the Nexus folder name is. If you want to rename, we can rename by using move command, sudo move. Simply by running a move command, we can rename. So try to understand the meaning of this command, sudo. See here, move command. Move is mainly for renaming. So how we are renaming? Whatever the file that is starting with Nexus-3 star. What is the meaning? Nexus-3 star. Whatever the file name that is starting with Nexus-3 star, that file will be replaced with Nexus. That's it. The file name starting with Nexus-3 star will be replaced with Nexus. I'm just renaming the folder. Second, Nexus is not a directory. Second, actually, we can rename the folder into some other format actually. So for that purpose, what we can do is move command is showing like Nexus is not a direct. So usually we can rename this by using a command called sudo. Move command is mainly for renaming. Nexus hyphen 3. Let me give the whole name and try once. I'm just copying this folder name and I'm trying to. Okay. Now you see, I'm just giving ls command. Sorry. So we just renamed the file. You see, I'm just giving an ls command. When I give ls command, you see earlier the file name was showing like Nexus 3.70 something. Now we just renamed the folder. Just renamed the folder to Nexus. Okay. Now the Nexus directory is there and Sona type worker. Two folders are there. Okay. So how we got these two folders after extracting this folder? After extracting this folder, we got two folders, Nexus 3.7.0 and Sona type work. And I just renamed this folder into Nexus. That's it. Whatever the name, whatever the folder I had, Nexus 3.70 something, I just renamed the folder to Nexus. Okay. I'll tell you the reason why you will understand why we just renamed the folder and all. So after that, we are going to create a Nexus user. Okay. We are going to create a Nexus user. Why we are going to create a Nexus user is we need a dedicated user for running the Nexus. So now, so far we understood the usernames, like we know the normal user, we know root user, all those things, right? We can create users in a Linux operating system. We can create users. So we are going to create Nexus user, and we will be running the Nexus from the dedicated Nexus user. Okay, how to create a user? You see, this is the command sudo add user Nexus. What is the username that I am providing? Try to understand. I am going to create a user called Nexus sudo add user Nexus. I'm creating a user called Nexus sudo add user Nexus. I'm creating a user with a name called Nexus. After that, I will be providing permissions. Okay, I'll be providing permissions to the folder. So I'll be providing permissions. So this is the command sudo add user Nexus is the command for creating a user. I'm creating a new user called Nexus. Nexus is the username. And now what I am doing, I am going to change sudo change owner permissions recursively for all the files and folders inside the Nexus folder. You see the Nexus folder, we can remove /opt. Why? Because we are not inside the /opt folder. We can remove this thing. So I just want to provide all permissions for the Nexus folder as well as Sona type work. We are just providing owner permissions. Okay, we are just giving owner permissions. You see, owner permissions for both the folders, Nexus folder as well as uh, owner permissions to the Nexus. Okay, you see, ch owner, ch1 in the sense owner permissions. So the Nexus folder is there, Sona type is there. So let me show you. I am just giving those permissions to the. See now. running this command at the same time. We'll also run this command. So what I'm doing is for this folder, to access this folder, to access the Nexus, we are giving permissions to the user called Nexus. Okay, we are giving permissions to the Nexus user. For sonotype work also, to access the sonotype work folder, we are giving permissions to the Nexus user. That's what we are doing, owner permissions to the Nexus user for both Nexus folder as well as sonotype work. And now after that, we need to run this command to start the service. Okay, we need to run this command to start the Nexus as a service. So this is the command I'm using to start. Why? Because there is a file called nexus.service where we will find this, where we are going to find this file is, we are going to find the file inside etc slash systemmd system nexus. Okay, this is the path where we have the nexus.service file. I am going to copy this one. So we are going to create actually, okay, we are going to create this file, vi. By using vi command, we are going to create this file, nexus.service file. I am going to create nexus.service file and I am going to start the Nexus service. So I am just creating this file so that empty file will be opened. And in that empty file, I'm going to give some contents. These are the following contents. These are the content that I'm going to paste over there. Nothing much, you will understand why I am copying all these things there. I'm pasting all these contents, escape, colon, WQ. So we are just pasting all these things here and I'm just saving the file. So once after saving the contents here, so we can start by just running few commands. We are going to restart and we are going to enable the Nexus. So we have few commands here. Can you see? We are going to run some commands like systemctl enable Nexus. I will share the document with you. You can also run the same commands so that you can also see how the Nexus will be installed and how we can run the Nexus. And sudo systemctl start Nexus. Okay, we are just trying to start the Nexus service. Whenever we start it, it will usually show. Okay, is having some Nexus failed because the control process exited with the file. Just checking the status of this Nexus. Is unable to find the executable file. May test this. So I'm just going inside the folder called Nexus to see what are the files that I have available. We have folders like bin and all. I'm just looking the what are the files that I'm having. And Second, I'm just restarting this one. Okay, let me launch one more server. Okay, and let's connect to the server and see how actually we are installing the Nexus. I'll explain you the step-by-step process, how actually we are installing the Nexus. So maybe because of some issues, like we could not able to start the Nexus service. I'm just starting the Nexus server once again. You see here, there is one more server. Okay. Let me delete all the servers here that are running. Okay. I'm just deleting all the servers. I don't want all these servers. I'm just deleting all the servers. I have started earlier. I have started Nexus server for installing for installing all the packages. And recently also I have launched one more server with T2.micro. So that server also, you see here T2.micro. Maybe I feel that T2.micro is not at all sufficient. That's why I've chosen T2.medium. So now what I'm doing is I have terminated all the instances and now I'm going to launch a fresh server. I'm going to launch a fresh server to see Nexus. I'm just taking Nexus server, naming the server as Nexus server. Same operating system, but here I don't think the T2.micro will be sufficient. I'm going with T2.medium. I'm going with T2.medium, 29 kp. I'm coming down and I'm going to launch the server. So we know the very first thing is right. So for installation of Nexus, definitely what actually we require is we need Java package. So we need to install Java. Java is the prerequisite for it. And after that, we will simply follow the document. We have few steps to follow. Okay, we have few steps to follow. We'll simply follow the document to set up Jenkins and all. So what I'm doing is I'm having Nexus server. I'm just trying to connect to the Nexus server, simply connecting to the Nexus server. And I'm closing all the previous steps. I'm just connecting to the Nexus server. Very first command I'm running is sudo su hyphen. And we know how to download Jenkins. Here, I'm just copying the RPM file. I'm using it by using wget command. I'm using the link by using wget command, downloading this RPM file. Give ls command to see whether the file is downloaded or not. Once it is downloaded, you can simply run a command like sudo yum install this file. I'm just proceeding with the installation. So Java is done. So once Java is installed, I'm going for the Nexus one. Okay. So what I'm doing is I am going with here. See, I would like to download everything inside the OPT folder. Okay. So you know the purpose of OPT folder. So in Nexus, we will be having multiple directory structures. So if you are downloading any of the packages, it's very usually the approach that we follow is like we will download all the packages inside OPT folder. So I'm just going inside the OPT folder. So OPT, if you ask me what is OPT, OPT is the directory structure inside the Linux operating system. I'm going inside cd/opt. Inside the OPT folder, I'm going to download this package. You see here, I'm just copying this file. Whatever the Nexus latest file, you see here, I'm going with this link Nexus 3 latest hyphen Unix. I'm just trying with the link, same link only. So whatever the latest file is there, the latest Nexus file will be downloaded. Okay. So what I'm doing is latest hyphen Unix dot gz. This the latest file will be downloaded. If you see ls command, the latest Unix gz is downloaded. And if you want to extract, you can extract by using this name. You can extract by using the same name. Okay, what is the command we are using for extracting? tar-xzvf. This is the command I'm using for extracting. This is the file name I had, and this is the command. This is the command I'm using for extracting. Once you extract it, we are in the OPT folder only. Okay, you know, right? We are inside the OPT folder only. You can give ls command to see. Now I have two folders, like after extraction, this is the file and this is the another file I had. Got it? We have two files. Now, if you want, you can rename the file, which is having Nexus 3 something. We can rename it by using this command, sudo move command. Okay, inside the OPT folder, what I'm doing is I'm just renaming this command. You see, Nexus hyphen 3 star. What is the, this is how Nexus hyphen 3 star. We don't need to give the full name. Nexus hyphen 3 star is the one we are giving, and I'm renaming this file name with with the Nexus one. So Nexus is the folder name now. Now I have two folders. One is Nexus, other one is Sonatype worker. As I told you, usually it's very better convention like to add the, okay, to add the username as to add the username like Nexus and to run the Nexus. Okay, so just I am trying to create a username called Nexus. I am creating a username called Nexus. So for creating the username called Nexus, I'm coming back. You know how to come. So how to log in? Usually with the root user, sudo su hyphen, right? So now I am just logged in as a root user. That's it. Okay. I just log in as a root user. I would like to run few commands here. I'm just adding the username called Nexus. I'm just creating a username called Nexus. After creating the username, I would like to provide permissions to the Nexus user. I'd like to provide permissions to the Nexus user to the folders like Nexus as well as, sorry, we need to go for cd/opt. Inside the folder, we can run this command cd. Okay. So inside the folder, we are providing permissions to the Nexus folder for the Nexus user. At the same time, we also need to provide to Sonatype work folder. Okay, for both the files. Okay, for both the folders, I have provided permissions to the Nexus user. After that, we are just trying to run a command. Okay, we are just trying to start the Nexus service. Configure Nexus to run as a service. Okay. So we are going to create a file called nexus.service, and inside that I am going to keep all these things. Okay. I'm just copying the file. This is the path. Okay. Where we are giving, where we are doing is inside etc folder systemd. This is, we are going to create a file, and I'm going to paste it, whatever the contents I'm having here, the same file I'm going to just. So I'm removing that one. Why? Because our Java path might be different. Okay, the Java path might be different. Whatever the path that our Java is installed, maybe that is different. That's why I'm removing that field, and I'm going to give this one. Escape, shift colon W. You can also see by using a command called, to see the contents and all. If you want to see whatever the contents that we have provided, you can see by giving this command cat space file name. And you see here, we are having this file name. We are having this nexus.service file inside the etc. Okay, inside the etc folder system D folder system. Okay, this is the path where we are creating this nexus.service file. So let's see the remaining things. What we are doing is we are going to start the Nexus service. Let me start the Nexus service to see whether Nexus will be started. Nexus is going to start now or not. To see that, I'm just going to Yes, I think we did not see any error now. But if you want to see, if you are not seeing any error, most probably the Nexus is started. Most probably the Nexus is started and it is running. You see, I'm just running a command called sudo systemctl enable Nexus, sudo systemctl start Nexus, systemctl status Nexus. So see, whenever I run the start command, I didn't see like any error. So that's the reason why I just try to see the status by running a command called sudo systemctl status Nexus so that it is showing like Nexus is actively up and running. So Nexus setup is done. We just set up the Nexus inside a Linux server. How to access the Nexus server? How to access Nexus? So just go inside the server, copy the public IP of that one. Go here, paste it over there. Okay. And if you want, so what is the default port number of Nexus? So usually how we are accessing Jenkins? In the same way only, right? We are going here, copying the public IP. We're going here, wherever we are installing. So I just installed the Nexus in the Nexus server. This is the Nexus server. I'm just clicking on it. I'm trying to take the public IP of it, putting the public IP over here in the browser. And we need the port number. What is the default port number of Nexus? I don't know actually. If I am the beginner, I don't know what is the default port number of Nexus. If you want to know the default port number of Nexus, if you want to know the default port number of Nexus, you see the default port number of Nexus is 8081. The default port number of Nexus is 8081. You see, we can able to access Nexus. If you are not able to access the Nexus, one thing you need to understand, we need to allow the port number. Did we allow the port number here or not? We are in the Nexus server. Go to the security, go to the security groups, and here only the port number is allowed. Only SSH port is allowed. If you want to add it. Give the TCP, give custom TCP, and if you want to add whatever the port number, if you want to add, you can add it. Save it. This is the port number I would like to add. Why? Because the default port number of Nexus 8081, I just added. I just selected custom TCP 8081 and I have allowed the port number. Now you see I'm just trying to access the Nexus. This is how the Nexus dashboard looks like. This is how the Nexus dashboard looks like. I'm able to see the Nexus. Now this is how the Nexus dashboard looks like. If you want to sign in, okay, if you want to sign in, yes, just click. This is how the Nexus repository. You can just click on browse option. These are the default repositories that we have. We have Maven Central, Maven Public, Maven Releases, Maven Snapshots. Okay, these are the default. We didn't created it. So, okay, we have not created all these folders here. Once you got connected to the Nexus repository, you will find all these folders by default here. This is how the dashboard looks like. If you want to sign in, just click on the sign in button. You see it is clearly showing your admin username password is located in this file. In the OPT folder, in the Sonatype folder, Sonatype work folder, you will see there is a file called admin.password. You can copy this path. Under Sonatype work, there is a file called see that Nexus is still running. So I just want a password. You see here. If I want to log in, I need the password. You see the admin password is present. The admin password is present in this particular location. To get the admin password, where we get the admin password, you see, we get the admin password. I have logged in once again. We get the admin password. We know where we have kept all these things in the OPT folder. Go to the Sonatype work. CD space Sonatype work. Give ls command. Here we have Nexus 3 folder. Inside the Nexus 3 folder, again, we'll be having admin password file. If you want to see the file, you can use cat space admin.password so that it will display the password. You see, I'm just going inside the Sonatype work. there is a folder called subfolder called Nexus 3. Inside the Nexus 3, I'm having a file called admin.password. So this is the admin.password. You can copy this password and you can log in for now. For the first time, okay? For the first time, whenever you log in, this is the password. And what is the username? Admin is the username. So Nexus itself is giving you the username and password for the first time sign in. Just click on the sign in. Okay? Just click on the sign in. And if you want to set up a new password, new username and password, yes, you can set up. I am just giving like admin is my username and the password is also admin. I'm just going with the next option. And here it is asking two options. Enable the anonymous access, disable the anonymous access. You know what is anonymous access? Anonymous access means by default, users can search, browse, and download the components from the repositories without credentials. If I enable anonymous access, users can search, browse, and download components from the repositories without credentials. They don't need to log in. If I share the link, they can able to directly log in and they can able to access the files. So there is no security here. If you enable anonymous access, there will be no security. Please consider the security implications for your organizations. If you are considering security implications, you will not enable. Don't enable anonymous access. Always disable the anonymous access. And it will require credentials for all the users. Okay, so I'm just disabling it. Why? Because at the organization level, we will not allow, we will not enable the anonymous access. We'll always disable the anonymous access. Why? Because we will not give public access to the repositories. If I give public access to the repositories, any user can search. By default, users can search, browse, and download the components from the repositories without credentials. I'm disabling it. I'm going to the next. That's it. Finished. So I just log in as a user called admin. Okay. Now you see here, I just log in as a user called admin. And if you want to see what are all the by default folders, you can go to the browse. Yes, these are the by default folders. If you want to upload any of the things manually, yes, we have an option here up to upload manually. Just click on upload. Okay. And you can go here, the Maven releases, choose the file, whatever the file you want to upload. Yes, you can upload any of the file. You can upload the file by providing the group ID, artifact ID, version number. So today we understood like how can we install the Nexus? How can we set up the Nexus in one server? Okay. So I request please go through and please create a server and try to run all the commands. Okay. Try to run all the commands. Whatever the commands that we have used, try to run all the commands. It is not mandated that you have to follow the same procedure that I have followed. You can go to the Google and search like how to install Nexus on Amazon Linux. And if you are going to choose an Ubuntu server, please run a command like how to install Nexus on Ubuntu server, how to install Nexus on Red Hat Linux. Please go with the different, okay, you can go with a different server. Otherwise, if you want to restrict to one server first, then you can go with Amazon Linux. Try to install it and see the dashboard of the Nexus. And in the next session, we will see like how we are going to connect with the Jenkins server, how we are going to connect with the Jenkins server, how we are going to integrate Nexus to the Jenkins server. So far we have seen, right, we have integrated GitHub. We have integrated GitHub with the Jenkins. The next section, we will be going to understand how we are going to integrate Nexus with the Jenkins server so that all the artifacts will be stored in the Nexus by default. Any questions from the today's session?
No, Vamsi.
Okay, please try to install Nexus by taking any of the server so that you will understand. Like, okay. So if you want, you can follow the same commands that I have used. Otherwise, you can go to the Google and search like how to install Nexus in the Amazon Linux machine so that whatever the command that it suggests, you can proceed with the commands and try to install it. Okay. Once you practice, then only you will understand how it goes. Thank you. Let's meet tomorrow for the next session. Thank you.